Well, this is great. We're here with the next edition of Art in Full Proof. And we have the pleasure of having Trish Weeks. And I'm looking forward to our conversation. Very informal, casual conversation over the pick of this episode, if you will, is the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked Barrel Pick. And that was picked by, and we see here it says, Brewzle 2. And Brewzle. Oh, shoot. All right, so today we have the Woodford Double Oaked Brewzle 2 Barrel Pick. Double Oaked Barrel Pick. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's great to have you here, Trish.
And thank you for having me.
Big fan of your work. And we've been working together for a few years now, and this is a great opportunity to have some conversation about your work. What was your first sort of initiation into art? Was there a specific moment where you realized that you wanted to dedicate your life as an artist? Now I have to just kind of do a prequel to that because we were just talking on the phone the other day. And you were telling me about how you've been in the art and design world as an artist and designer for 30 years?
Well, since 1978.
Longer than that's. I'm 1976, so we're pushing almost 50 years.
Well, I have morphed my way through my classical beginnings at UC DAP in fashion design.
Okay.
And but I happened to have two small children at the same time I graduated from, and in fact, my daughter walked the fashion show as children's clothes.
That's awesome.
That I had done. So out of practicality, it didn't seem like I wanted to really go to work for a department store and become a buyer. Because I'm more interested in the art and the design part of life. And I guess I should have given it a little more thought than that back then, but I was just kind of headed into fabrics and texture and color and the form. And then I was offered an opportunity to help someone build a design business. It turned out that my background at UC helped me to really, because of my knowledge of fabrics and design, three-dimensional design, translated perfectly, and I did design work for a very long time. So, so I started showing my work professionally as an artist in '98.
Was there a moment where you first picked up the brush or decided that you wanted to paint? Or?
Well, I had been kind of playing at it, but I had kind of an awakening when I went on a trip with some friends, some sailing friends. We chartered boats down in the Bahamas, and there was a couple that had been together a long time, and she finally had agreed to marry him in the Bahamas. And so it was fabulous. Everybody had their boat. We just sailed all around, and then they were getting married. And the next day we were out, and she died suddenly while on a sailboat out in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And my husband tried to do CPR and all that, but on a boat, a small boat, it's a little difficult. At any rate, she passed away, and
Tragic.
I kind of had a whoa. And I sort of refer to it as Katie's gift, because I decided at that point in time, I had a very successful design business, but I always really saw myself as a painter. I wanted to be a painter, but I wasn't really particularly encouraged to do that. So I just decided, well, how long am I going to wait to do what I say is really important to me? Am I going to do it, or am I not going to do it? So I just decided to start pushing, not taking as much design work, and I would paint a few days a week, and I would was sort of like, okay, I'll work in the morning as a painter and I'll go out and do design work. So I changed my clothes because I'm a messy painter. So it kind of got to be, I was like a change artist. Depending upon my day, I was either in awful paint clothes or I was dressed as a designer and going to see clients. Until finally, after a number of years, some of my clients said, Trish, don't worry about it. We know you're going to go back to the studio. And so don't worry about getting all dressed up. I went, perfect. My old mentor that I would take one day a week to go to see in Middletown, he saw what I was doing and he looked at me. He goes, why do you want to paint like everybody else? I says, well, I'm just, it's color design. He handed me the knife and he says, here, try this. And it created something different inside.
Interesting.
And I just haven't ever put the knife down.
That's amazing. All exclusively the knife, no brush.
Oh yeah, I will use anything. I'll use my elbow if I have to.
Just anything. But the knife really was something early on that helped inspire your style. And speaking of your style, and speaking of certainly, your work has a balance of abstraction and then recognizable elements of landscape and flora and fauna. Do you know when a painting is crossed from that, idea of just observation into something more emotional, more expressive? Because I think you said, you're inspired by things you see, but they're not necessarily replicas of things you see, like
it's
specific
the feeling
places.
Of how I feel about what I've seen, the
That's
energy of it. So
it
basically,
is the emotion,
it's basically like this piece up here. It's really the energy of that walk that I took out to the beach, and going through all that grass, and it's highly interpretive, I will admit.
Sure.
But it has the feeling of it, and this little piece here is, you can tell pretty much what it is, but it really, because of the colors, it just moves. Almost all of my work has vibration that moves.
Yeah.
And it's the energy, it's the combination of color theory and the strokes and just, I don't know what else. But
bringing that feeling, bringing that emotion to it, that I think is really amazing.
There's an intensity that's there for me. It's just been what I have developed over these years of working. And
actually, it's funny, these questions lead one into the other. I haven't read them. But, if it feels joyful and energetic, it feels emotional, but there's a certain meditative, place in it. And I think that's what's really inspiring to me to hear you speak about it, is that, you're reacting to a place that you're reacting to a feeling that you had. Is there a particular mindset that you go to when you're painting? Are you chasing that feeling and emotion when you're working in it?
Well, on a daily basis, because I try to, unless I have too many other things going on in my life with family, et cetera, these days, I try to just go in and just kind of take a deep breath and decide, what am I going to do today?
People will always say, they'll say that you're something about your painting just makes them feel good. It makes them feel, happy and alive, and that connection both for your work to the viewer and you to your work. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's more important?
Well, that makes me
that
feel
connection,
happy.
that emotional connection that we can get through, the work. Your work.
It's interesting that you bring up that, because over the years of having open house in my studio, I have routinely had people that come in and they come back and they said, we just came back because being in your studio makes us feel so good. It
does.
And I thought, oh, well, see, and these are people that maybe you're never going to purchase one of my paintings, but they felt some of my joy that I could share a little bit with them, because these are part of the joy of my life.
Sure.
And
part of a journey.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's only one. I rarely paint anything dark, and I think you have it here in your.
Yes, it has it's very the blues in it.
Yeah, well,
and I think I love this story, and we can maybe get some B-reel of it, because it was a really particular
emotional happening for me.
That happened when you did that painting. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I was on a sailing trip in the British Islands, and we had this storm warning, and turns out we went through a tropical storm on a 35-foot boat on a hook.
Terrifying.
And I will tell you, Mother Nature is something else. And I painted it when I came back home. And I have a tendency to paint water, maybe not as much in this collection here, but I do seem to have a thing for water. And that particular painting was called Coastal Energy, and you could feel the intensity of the ocean in that piece. And it's deep blues.
Yeah, there's deep blue, like that idea.
There's survival in that.
Yeah, that idea that there you are in the middle of the storm, and the water would be, I mean, more than abyss, just like a void, where
the boat it's a sailboat, and it was tossed about a bit.
And that's your boat, that's your lifeboat. I mean, it is a very emotional painting. I think it's a great title for it.
The Impressionists took the first big step and risked a lot. When I started painting like this, in a sense, I took a bit of a risk because I was not painting like people expected me to work. Mm-hmm. But I just decided, for better or for worse, this is who I am, and this is what I'm headed for. And I think that's the most important thing. That if you say what should I consider as an artist, in my work, be yourself. Let yourself be present in your work. Then it becomes truly yours.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
Sure.
So, but it takes time. Everything takes time. I've spent a lot of hours painting, and not everything has to be so precious that you can't change something. Mm-hmm. It's just paint. And that's one of the things that I kind of treated myself to over the years, was trying to make sure I had enough material that if something wasn't working, I didn't have to be stuck with it.
Right.
And
everyone's not going to be a masterpiece either. Like every painting you do, you're like you said, you just got to keep.
You got to keep on
doing it and doing it and doing it.
You just got to keep working, and it takes. I've been on a good week, I'm there. I mean, when we're at the lake, sometimes I'll be painting every day of the week, part of it every day of the week. Inspired by color. And what happens, and that's sort of like an adventure too, because it's kind of fun to see what happens when you mix colors, because you get unexpected compositions. And sometimes on smaller pieces, I'll be a little gutsier and try some sometimes unusual colors. And sometimes it's really kind of fun what happens. So, but you don't risk as much. When you do a larger painting like the one over there that's 5 feet wide, I usually try to have an idea of where I'm going, because oil paint has gotten pretty expensive.
Right, yeah. You want to use every last drop.
And I use a lot of paint. I mean, you can see how thick it is. And that's, my old mentor said, Trish, you paint like you think you're a millionaire. And I went, oh my goodness. I says, I'll try to take some off. He goes, no. Keep painting this way. I shouldn't have said it that way.
Right.
But I use color freely, and I try not to think of which colors are the expensive tubes, because that would limit me. In fact, I always, every day, put down a full palette of all the colors that I think I'm going to use that day, that are the basic ones. And then there's always those that I mix. And so that gives me a range of color so that there's almost every color, almost in every painting to a greater or lesser degree. But if I don't put out that full palette, it sort of holds me back. And sometimes it causes me to waste a little paint.
Right.
But that's the cost of making sure I get the colors in, which is what I'm happiest about when I'm painting.
I just think you're a lovely person to work with.
Thank you.
And I love your energy. Your work is available here at the gallery. And we have an upcoming show with Trish Weeks here. And we look forward to sharing that with everybody. And we look forward to seeing what will come out of the studio next. Very exciting.
Me too. I'm looking forward to getting in there and playing around with paint.
And it's lovely to share a beverage with you here.
Oh, yes, indeed. And this is very nice,
Cheers
by
to
the
you.
way.
Yeah, it is nice.
Very nice.
You can definitely get some of the double... Oh.